Hey everybody, this is William Green of My Green Pets, and I just wanted to remind you all that tomorrow, Sunday, October 28th, I'm going to be having a live chat with AOS Judge Stephen Van Campen Lewis about Cattleya culture. Here are your local times, and I hope you'll join us. And now for this week's episode of My Green Pets. Hey everybody, it's William Green with My Green Pets coming to you from Fantasy Orchids here in Louisville, Colorado. And Cattleya season is well underway. We've got lots of different Cattleyas blooming out here at Fantasy Orchids. Lots of different colors, fragrances, shapes, and sizes. So it's definitely a nice time to be out here. And in the private boarding section where people keep their plants, we've got some interesting things going on. This is an Angraecum hybrid. This is Memoria Mark Aldridge. And this thing's been working on its spikes for a couple months now. And we're finally getting to see the buds pushing out. And I can't wait until this starts to bloom. These, I think, are fragrant in the evenings. So I'm hoping we'll have a chance to see that. And speaking of fragrant, check this thing out. Over 30 buds coming up on this Zygopetalum. You know that when this thing blooms, the entire section of the greenhouse is going to be filled with its wonderful rose and hyacinth fragrance. You may recall a few years ago I had one with 3 flowers. I can't imagine what 30 flowers are going to be like. But let's turn our attention back over to My Green Pets and see how they're doing over here. We got a couple of exciting things happening. As you guys know, autumn is really a good time for orchids to start putting out flowers. And this one's no exception. This is Bulbophyllum echinolabium Hal. And Hal puts out sequential blooms. Every couple weeks he puts out a new flower on this spike. And right in front of him, this is a wonderful little Phalaenopsis schilleriana. It's put out 2 nice big leaves this season, and you can see its spike is finally getting some length on it there. It's really kind of taken off the past couple weeks. We're hoping for lots of beautiful pink fragrant flowers. My 2 Catasetum hybrids are kind of entering their dormancy cycle, so they've lost most of their leaves, and the leaves that are left don't look that great, but the bulbs look pretty plump, so they should be okay until they start putting out new growth in the spring. Another plant that requires a winter dormancy is this Malaxis latifolia. Right now it still looks like it's in growth mode. It's putting out a new growth, you can see at the bottom there. But after a month or 2, I think I'm going to go ahead and start reducing water and give it a couple month dormancy cycle and see how it does with that. My Cattleya Rex seedlings are doing well. The mounted ones are putting out some nice new roots. I posted on Instagram earlier this week about root porn. I know some of you know what I'm talking about. These pictures of gorgeous orchid roots and their suggestive green tips. Well, anyway, you know where that's going to go. As far as the Cattleyas go, these really are sensitive in the winter to temperature changes, and I've had to be careful in the past because they've developed these blotches on the leaves during the cooler months. But here in the greenhouse at Fantasy Orchids, you know, the temperatures are pretty stable, very warm during the day. And as you can see, a lot of the seedlings are actually putting out new growth. You can see the little green nubbins pushing up there, so it might not be a problem this year. This is one of my favorites in my collection, the Medusa bulbophyllum. And Medusa's going to be putting out 6 spikes this year. Hopefully they should be blooming around mid-December. Always looking forward to that show. This big multifloral path is a prime child. It's the only orchid I've ever had awarded by the AOS, and it hasn't bloomed since it received its award a couple years ago, so looking forward to seeing what it looks like this time. And here's another little bulbophyllum. This is Lovely Elizabeth, which is the Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry, the famous one, with 1 additional cross, and it's got 3 growths pushing out. It's kind of weird because normally this plant blooms around this time of year, but new growths mean new bulbs and a stronger plant, so that's totally cool. But not as cool as this. This is Paphiopedilum Michael Kopowitz, whatever you want to call it. It's awesome, and you can see the petals are starting to push out. You can see that kind of almost wrapped up like an accordion, and as those things start to push out, they will continue to grow until they reach about 40 centimeters, 15 or 16 inches in length. They are so spectacular when they're in full bloom. Love this plant. Well, that's all for today, guys. I really appreciate you stopping by, and I hope that you'll join us tomorrow for our live chat about Cattleyas. Specifically, we're going to talk about some different Cattleya species. It's the Nobilior, Walkeriana, Rex, and then just some general Cattleya culture. So please bring your questions, concerns, and comments, and we are going to have a great time. So we'll see you tomorrow at the chat. Until then, have a great Saturday night, and we'll talk to you later right here on My Green Pets. I'm William Green. See you guys.